First of all, Guy Pearce, everyone's going to, I feel silly telling anybody who you are. I think everybody knows. Memento, Priscilla, Queen of the Desert, L.A. Confidential, Count of Monte Cristo, Hurt Locker, King's Speech. Everybody knows. And now Prometheus, which I will tell you, I actually saw twice over the weekend. It's a great movie. Congratulations on it.
Well, thanks very much. It is a fascinating film. I saw it twice myself in that week, of the premiere in London, and it was great to go back and see it a second time because obviously it's quite a dense story, really. Well, so even for me, somebody who was in the film, I needed to watch it twice.
Well, I found the second time I saw it, I actually did pick up a few things that I maybe didn't catch the first time around. There's been a lot of talk about this movie in the lead up and a lot of hype and everything. But for anyone who doesn't know, how would you describe the plot of Prometheus? What is Prometheus about?
Well, to be honest, I'm terrible at describing plots of films, but essentially, we have two archaeologists who have discovered a series of cave paintings, if you will, in various places around the world, and they've put together this map that sort of seems to overlay and correlate from one place to another from different eras. And they've essentially worked out that there's a sort of a selection of planets and stars, miles out in the universe somewhere that all of these cave paintings relate to. And so, our two archaeologists have convinced Peter Wayland, the character that I play, to pay for this particular mission to go out to this series of planets and see what they can find out there. So essentially, it becomes a mission story led by Numi Rapace and Logan Marshall Green, our two scientific archaeologists. And,
of course, Charlize Theron as well in the movie.
That's right. Charlize is the representative of the Wayland Corporation. She's there to make sure that these guys don't spend any more money than they should, and she obviously without giving the story away has quite personal, emotional reasons for being there, and she's dealing with a lot of her own personal stuff as well. And we've got Michael Fassbender, who plays David, who is the android, I suppose, the robot that is sort of running the ship. Idris Elba is our captain flying the ship, etc. So there's a really great cast on board.
It's a phenomenal cast, and you guys have Ridley Scott directing it, and it's not only do I think it's a good story, it's very impressive to look at. Visually, I think it's a very stunning looking film.
Look, I agree, and obviously Ridley has a great history of making films look better than anybody else, and I think he doesn't draw breath on this one. He really brought his A game, and interestingly, the film is in 3D. But the second time I watched it, I took the 3D glasses off, and I realised I could see it perfectly clearly without the 3D glasses. Mm-hmm. Because it's a very subtle 3D. It's not sort of in your face, roller coaster ride kind of stuff. And Ridley, I think, has a really great eye and just makes this world look incredibly fascinating.
I'll tell you that's funny. That's exactly what I did too. The first time I saw it in 3D, and the second time I didn't. It makes it sound like you and I have been hanging out a lot together, and we've just been going to the movies.
Absolutely, off to the movies together.
Well, there was also a lot of talk before the film came out. Was this in some way an Alien prequel to that successful series of films? And then it turns out, I think everybody knows at this point that it is kind of it is connected to the Alien films. Were you a fan of those? Have you seen the Sigourney Weaver movies?
Of course, yes. I was a big fan of the first one. I did like the second one. 3 and 4 I saw, but I couldn't. I don't have a great memory of them, to be honest. Mm-hmm. And then prior to doing Prometheus, I went back and I watched the first one again, just to remind myself of that world. But the interesting thing about Prometheus, I think when they set out to sort of begin discussions on it, it was more a straight prequel to Alien. And then when they started developing the script and Ridley got more and more into it, I think it sort of became its own thing. And so in a way, it's kind of limiting to call it a straight prequel, I think, even though there is clearly a connection to the original film. But Ridley just couldn't help himself. He's had 30 years to think about it, so he created something bigger and better than that first Alien film, I think.
We're talking to Guy Pearce here on the morning show on CD 102.5. Peter Whalen, the character that you play in Prometheus, obviously there's a lot of makeup going on there with you. How long did that take you every day to get into?
It was a 5-hour makeup process. I would get there at 3 in the morning and I'd be ready by 8. Obviously, they could only shoot with me till 2 or 3 in the afternoon, so it was they were short days as far as filming actually goes. And obviously, I'm not in the film that much, I probably worked for about 3 weeks. And if it weren't for the makeup, I probably could have done it all in about 3 or 4 days.
When they do that stuff to you, Guy, when they do that stuff, when you're in a role where it does require that much time in the makeup chair, how do you keep your mind occupied, or do you just kind of fall asleep and wake up as an old guy?
Oh, no. I was sort of very involved with the two that were applying the makeup. I mean, we had great fun, actually. You know, they were playing me lots of music I didn't know, and I was playing them lots of music they didn't know. So, strangely enough, the 5 hours would go by quite quickly, and I was very hands-on. Not that I was doing anything, but I was certainly interested in what they were doing. And there may be a morning where I'd say, I think my nose is a bit crooked this morning, don't you think? And we'd go back and redo the nose or whatever. So I was very engaged. If I fall asleep in the chair, I'm useless. Once I'm awake, I need to stay awake.
All right, I have to ask you. I know that you're on location. You're on location today. Where are you today?
Well, I'm in Wilmington, in North Carolina. I'm not actually filming today though, so I've got I've got the day free, which is handy.
But you are down in Wilmington, and the work is on Iron Man 3, right?
That's correct. Yes.
Who are you playing in Iron Man 3?
To be honest, I actually struggle talking about films while I'm making them or before I finish them. So I'm actually I'm gonna zip it on that one, I'm afraid.
All right, I will take that. Well, tell me about the first Iron Man movies then. I assume much like with the Alien movies, you've seen the Iron Man movies going in here. What did you think of those?
I thought they were great, actually. And it's funny because I've never generally been a comic strip fan. I've enjoyed the ones that I've seen in the past, but it's never really been my thing. And I saw the first Iron Man film, and I just thought it burst off the screen. I thought that Robert and Gwyneth together were wonderfully charismatic, and there was just a great sort of sense of colour and fun and humour to it that sort of seemed to go beyond other comic strip films that I'd seen. So I was really taken by that first film, and then I thought the second film followed it up, beautifully as well. So with Sam Rockwell, obviously, and the rest of the cast. So I think there's something very solid and interesting about them. Hence the reason why I've said yes to coming and working on the third one. So they're an interesting sort of world. I mean, I generally do sort of small dramas rather than big sci-fi or comic strip films. But it seems in the last year or two I've broadened my horizon.
It's a far cry from Memento.
It certainly is. Yes. Not many visual effects going on in Memento.
Right.
They were all real tattoos.
Are you doing for Iron Man 3? Tell me this: are you doing all the filming down in North Carolina, or are you getting to go other places as well?
Most of it is here in North Carolina, in a few different places in North Carolina, and then I think they're going. There's a couple of other states they're going towards the end, but a bit like Prometheus, I'm not in a lot of it, so I'm sort of in and out.
Well, you certainly make an impression in Prometheus. I'm sure you will in Iron Man 3 too. So we'll look forward to that. And again, Prometheus, congratulations again on that movie. I liked it a lot, and I appreciate you taking time to talk to us today. Thank you very much, Guy Pearce.
Thanks very much. Thanks for having me.